Yeah. What's up, guys?
Yo, what's good?
Tyler Milbert, here with State Champ, here with Offensive Player of the Year, here with Co-Player of the Year, here with 6'8" right side killer, Kyler Evans. This is Inside the Mind of an Athlete. Kyler, first things first, congrats on the championship.
Thank you.
How's it feel? And tell everyone just how much we worked at it, and just, again, how's it feel just to be a state champ?
It feels awesome. I mean, it hasn't really hit me super hard yet because obviously we haven't gotten the rings. But it's very humbling to know that all of the hard work that we did during practice and outside the court, it just paid off.
Yeah, for sure. One thing, we had a question come in from someone, and they said, how was the start of your sophomore year? Now, what I think he means by that is you were a transfer from Basha High to Castile. And I think we talked about it last time, but now that I got you in person, I just want to touch up on it again. And coming in as a transfer to a big school and trying to be that guy, how was that, and how did you take about that coming into school?
Coming into Castile, it was pretty rough for me, I'm not going to lie. I had to fight out big boy Justin Babcock, as well as Austin Ponsness, because I was the middle at the time. So I'm trying to beat out two kids who have been there for the past, Justin would have been there for the past 2 years, going on 3, and Austin was a senior at the time. So I'm obviously trying to take a spot, and they didn't like that so much, so the love-hate relationship between us was pretty strong. Just worked my butt off in practice and in academy, talked with coach, and he pretty much told me like I'd make varsity, so I was super stoked about that. Didn't get as much playing time as I wanted. I'd sit out half the season because I was the transfer from Basha High School. So that was, that kind of threw me off. But, I mean, honestly, just not being able to play just gave me that wanting to work better and, trying to get to that spot and take that position. And by the end of the year, Coach Mine had reached out to me and asked me to play right side. So that's where it all started. My right side career was sophomore year.
For sure. Kids that are outsides, middles, maybe liberos, maybe just setters, what's your advice to them to kind of, if someone does say, hey, I need you at this position, what's your advice to them to kind of take heed of that?
Take the position. Don't necessarily don't just say, okay, well, there's this kid and I just have to beat him. You have to take it fully away from them. You have to be able to put in the work to go and take that spot. Because especially being at the varsity level, anyone can come in and swoop your spot. Anyone who's, even the younger kids that we had this year, all the sophomores, they're coming in and they're wanting spots and they're wanting to be hungry on the court. So, you just got to keep that work up and consistently work on yourself. Don't say, hey, I made it to this position, I'm going to calm down. Because, that's when you lose state championships, when you get comfortable.
Yeah, and I'll call out Blake Ross. Blake Ross, he was a sophomore this year. He got the start in libero position. Noah, who was a senior, he was swinging for us outside. And playing Perry, we kind of saw, hey, maybe Blake's not ready for these powerful offenses, and maybe there's another guy that we can swing and drop Noah, who was Defensive Player of the Year, back into libero. Mm-hmm. So having done that, Blake kind of took that as a shot in the face, and but he didn't get down. He grew from it, and he learned every practice. At nationals, like we were just talking about, he got all tournament for libero. So if you are one of those kids that maybe you had a position, it got taken away from you, that doesn't necessarily mean it got taken away from you. That just means, are you hungry enough to come get it back? Mm-hmm. So Blake Ross, shout out to you. Can't wait to see you next year. I kind of just touched base on this with Sean, but I want to hear kind of your aspect, and that's why we do this, is to hear other people's mindset and opinions. So the difference between high school ball and national, or club ball, I should say, what do you think you learn from each one to get better in the sport and to get better as just Kyler Evans?
So school ball, I think, is more of work on your little things, kind of you're fixing the little tweaks that you have, as well as getting reps, getting stronger, working out, and just building relationships with the family that you have. Whereas nationals, it's you got to be on your best. Like it's you either bring 110% or you don't show up.
Right.
It's way more competitive because you're also playing a lot of kids from like California, Florida. We had some kids from Chicago come by. Like you're competing at people that you don't normally see around the area, so you don't get to study them. You get no time to talk with them or look at them. You don't get to see their stats. Like you don't get to see who's their better hitter. You show up and you have to start building all of that information off of like the first day that you're at nationals.
Gotcha. So yeah, so it definitely kind of finds the inner athlete in you and competitor, and it's on the job learning, if you will.
Yeah.
So I gotta know this kid, and especially if you know who you're playing next, you kind of have the advantage of watching them if that's how it works out for you. But being a state champ, I want to kind of go where I grew up from. We had just gym class, just PE. Okay, there was no academy.
Okay.
So coming out here, when I heard of the academy and that it's just you pick a sport you want to play every day instead of PE where you play every single sport and whatnot. How does having an academy at Castile benefit you as a volleyball player and the volleyball program in itself?
I mean, you're getting like double the game time. Like, at Basha, I guess we had a program that I didn't know about, so I wasn't signed up for the class. But even going through academy, between the transition from my freshman to sophomore year, I got so much better.
Right.
Because now I'm playing against kids who are not only better than me, but they've had a lot more experience than me, and that's like the number one way to get better in volleyball. Is it's not necessarily to work alone; it's to work against people who are better than you.
Right. One thing I want to reach out to you about is you have a little brother coming up through the system. He's going to be in 8th grade. He obviously saw you win a ship this year. He plays club ball as well. What is the big brother words of encouragement to him as he's coming up through the system at Castile?
When I'm watching his games, a lot of the time I'm just kind of letting him know, like, hey, this is your first couple years of volleyball. It's a lot different than what it's going to be. I mean, 7th and 8th grade, it was the start of the love for volleyball.
Right.
I wouldn't say it's the start of the winning part in volleyball.
Right.
I went to Payne Junior High, and we had a brand new team. A bunch of my baseball buddies and we joined the team 7th grade and 8th grade, and we didn't really win any games. But it definitely, it starts the love of it. He always comes up and asks me like, hey, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to do this? Unfortunately, right now, he doesn't have the height there to be a hitter, so we have him setting right now, trying to help him work on his hands and get that motion down, Just find the love as well as the competitiveness of volleyball.
Yeah, for sure. And volleyball, it's tough to enjoy it at a young age because you're not jumping as high, you're not as strong. It's really just like it's a pass and serve game, and it's so shout out to all these kids that are in 7th, 8th grade. These I think 14-year-olds finally had a boys club season this year. I was one of the coaches, and it's definitely hard coming from a 6'8" senior who can jump out the gym and smack a ball within the 10-foot line as a rep. It's not even like your best hit. Like as a rep, you're just inside the 10. And so like as a younger kid kind of watching that, it's like, oh, I can't wait to do that. And I think that's like the love of the game that they'll grow into get and be excited for. How did you get to be 6'8"? And do we think little bro is gonna be 6'8"?
To help out all the parents out there, drink your milk, eat your vegetables. That's how I got there. And I don't think he's necessarily going to be as tall as me, but I definitely think he's going to be on the taller side. That is the lovely thing about volleyball is you can be a 7-foot giant and play an outside position, or you can be a 6-foot, libero. Like there's so many open spots, especially with DSs and people who are coming in to serve.
Right.
There's so many positions for everyone. It's not just a Giants game.
Right. And Leighton Bluth, who we've also talked about several times, is he's the star of that. If you are under 5 feet,
yes,
you can still ball out.
Crazy.
Leighton Bluth, look forward to him in the future. I know even at nationals, before he's even in high schools, he's getting looked at by these big schools,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it just shows how much he loves the game. How his height doesn't affect him at all. He's a worker. He hustles his butt off, and it's showing. And he'll be a freshman coming up at Castile next year. Can't wait to see that. Can't wait to coach him and have him kind of look at his older brother Parker and say, "I'm gonna beat you out," and see how Parker kind of retaliates, because I have a younger brother. And obviously, there's always going to be a family rivalry, and
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that's going to be fun to see next year.
I mean, even with him though, like every time I'm over at the Blues house, he's always either A, working out, B, playing sand volleyball, or like resting, doing
Right.
homework. So he's getting all of his stuff done at home. So those of you younger kids who are looking at Leighton and thinking, oh my gosh, like he's super good, how did he get that? He puts in the work. He puts in the work not only at school through club season and school season, but he does it at home as well, which is one of the big tricks for you guys to get better.
Right. Yeah, talking to Sean last time, he said there was a time where he went over to the Blues house and Leighton just randomly gets up and starts running laps in his backyard.
Yep.
And that just shows how hard he wants, or how much he wants it, and how hard he works at it. So, shout out to Leighton. Shout out to Tate, their older brother, going to Southern Virginia. He'll be a setter there. And breaking news. Right here inside the mind of an athlete, we got Mr. Kyler Evans letting us know where he's committing.
I am also headed to Southern Virginia
Let's
University
go.
to play some D3 volleyball.
Let's go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's huge. So, following your setter,
Yes.
okay,
Yep. About to win 2 championships
Right?
for 2 schools.
Right? Let's go high school chip. Let's go college chip. Like, that's all. I got this shit. Like, I'm shaking. That's great, because obviously now you know your setter. Now you're going into a place where you're going to be comfortable having him right there next to you, and same for him now, where he might have kind of been nervous going into it. Now he's got you there, and you're going to be able to tell the stories to your new teammates and coaches and classmates at this school that you guys want to ship together, and you'll show them why you want to ship together and go out and put it on the floor. So that's sick. Making a trip to Virginia.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a great experience.
That's awesome. Ooh, I'm excited.
Tate and I are gonna have a blast.
Tate, you got a hitter coming your way, buddy. So wow, congratulations. That's awesome. Woo, my train of thought.
This was not told to him prior to this video either. I told him that I was going to tell him where I was going.
Yeah, he said he's about to tell me. I said, no, you're not. You're going to wait till the video. And so this is my actual reaction. So I'm excited. Woo. Okay, great. Let's get back to the show. Woo. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, being so that Tate's going to be there, you didn't get to play nationals with Tate because you were 18-1s and he was 18-2. And Tate's a state champ. So if, say, you got guys going out for a club and they're kind of upset that they didn't make the 18-1s, 17s, 16, whatever it may be, what's kind of your advice to them on keeping the motivation aspect?
I'd say, like, use what you got. That kind of goes, like, with what my sophomore year was when I didn't get to play for half the season. Every chance that I got on the court, I used it to my advantage. And honestly, you'll find that some of the teams are a lot more fitting for you. At the 18-1s level, it was more of, like, the hungry, like, super aggressive type of competitiveness, not just, like, hey, I want to win. It was, like, we want to beat the crap out of you.
Right.
So, like, when you're not playing necessarily an open and you're more of USA, it's not only super competitive, but it's more on, like, the fun side as well of things.
Right.
So you just have to think about how that's going to, like, affect you personally, and, again, take it as an advantage and use what you have to build on your little skills. Sometimes the coaches are a little bit better at the 2s level rather than the 1. It just kind of depends.
Gotcha. That's big. I was actually talking to the AD the other day at Castile, and I was kind of in his ear, like, about does the 7th, 8th grade stay at Castile? Because I know Castile's been talking about getting big, going 6A, and if that happens, they might have to kick out the young kids. And I personally was telling them I think it's the best thing Castile has going for themselves, where these 7th, 8th graders now, they're not going to school with you guys, but they are in a way. And they're seeing you guys, and they're seeing these coaches that they'll eventually play for. So what's kind of your what's your opinion on that of the 7th, 8th grade going through Castile?
I think it's an awesome opportunity. That is one of the better things that I liked about Castile is not only do our 7th and 8th grade kids get the experience of having an academy rather than a PE program, is also, I mean, they get to meet the high school coaches at the 7th grade level.
Right.
You know, a lot of the time you don't get that opportunity. So to be able to go to those open gyms, especially where a lot of the varsity players will volunteer, and you get to see us older kids, it kind of gives, like, you can tell in the kids' eyes that it gives them that glimpse of hope of
Right.
like, hey, if I work, I can get to his point. So I think that 7th to 8th grade program is just awesome.
Yeah, and I completely agree because, like you said, you can see those guys ahead of you. Where I'm from, it's a small town. You know where you're going to high school. It's middle school, and then if you want to see the high schoolers, you go to their games or whatever, and you look forward to going there. Where you guys are now actually in the school with them, showing them the ways. Another thing I do want to touch on is in kind of talking about the 7th, 8th graders is when they have those camps, you varsity guys go and help out. And I just want to let everyone know that it's huge for those kids to see that. And you guys may not even know how big of an impact you have on them, but it's huge. And so every varsity player, every senior, whatever you may be, like, hats off to you guys for just going there and showing up and just. A lot of people do, well, are you going to get me pizza after? Like, stuff like that. Like, no, if you love the game, if you love the sport, if you love your school, if you want these kids to grow through the school like you did, like, show up, come out, let them know you're there for them, and they'll return it like these guys did with the state championship.
Yeah,
so
I think Garrett, Ryder's little brother Jackson, like we had at least like 5 or 6 of the 7th graders almost at every single playoff game on our bleacher side, and they were cheering in the back behind us. And I still look at plenty of video clips from like us winning in the semifinals games against Williamsfield, in the championship where they're like the first off the bench and out on the court already like hugging all the players.
Right.
And you're like, these kids aren't even in high school, you know, they don't come to academy with us, they don't come to practice with us, and yet they're still right there supporting us.
Right. And they feel like they're part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just, like, a young kid should feel intimidated by older kids, taller kids. But yeah, they look up to you guys while being at the school, while being at practices, while being at camps, and then so they're like, oh yeah, this kid knows who I am. I'm gonna go see him. I'm gonna go give him a high five. Speaking about the playoffs, they were in the huddles like before, and I thought that was really cool because come down the road 3, 4, 5 years from now, they're going to be those guys kind of mentoring those younger kids too. Mm-hmm. So that's really cool. Let's run through the season real quick. And obviously it ends with a ship, but we beat a lot of teams 3-0. Mm-hmm. And then we had to handle adversity with Williamsfield coming into the house and taking one game from us. And then semifinal game, they take 2 games from us and take a 2-0 lead. So take me through the Williamsfield's games because you and Tyler got co-player of the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shout out to Tyler.
Awesome player.
He's a baller. Shout out to Williamsfield. They had a great team. But kind of take us through those games and then we'll talk about Gilbert after. But let's hear about Williamsfield.
So the first time that we played them, we 3-0'd them, and they weren't as connected as they were till the end of the year, which that just shows the kind of power that practice can provide. So we 3-0'd them, and then like I was talking about earlier about getting comfortable, as we started to get a little bit comfortable with them, we had already gone through most of our schedule and the teams that we were already going to play on our bracket side. So we got comfortable again, lost a set, and then we still pulled it off. And I remember the 4th set was pretty close too. The fourth set wasn't very far from each other point wise. And then I think in practice we kind of got a little bit more relaxed and kind of settled down. You know, we're like, okay, we're in the playoffs. We're already past. Did we play Higley in the quarters?
Higley, yeah.
Higley, yeah. We already passed Higley. You know, we got Williamsfield next. We've already beat them twice. We got super comfortable. And then they just, they came back and just straight up hit us in the face, and we were on the floor. I remember the first 2 sets, I was a little bit shaky. I was playing to not lose rather than just playing my own game. And I don't know if you noticed this, but right after the second set, I wasn't even in the huddle. I was in the team room.
Right.
So I went into the team room and I was like, okay, like I just got to take like a solid minute just to myself. So I just kind of like chilled in there and just was thinking to myself like, hey, this can't be my last game as my senior year. I was like, we worked so hard in practice. We have such an amazing team and such an amazing program. I'm like, this can't be my last game.
Right.
And as soon as I stepped foot in that third game, I was set.
Yeah.
Like, nerves were gone. I was like, all right, like, this is time to ball out
Right.
and start swinging hard. And then we ended up winning it, pulling the reverse sweep off and taking that away from them.
Yeah, and that was a great game. That was a great atmosphere at Castile. Great for the parents and friends and family friends and the young kids looking at us, and just the team in itself, the coaching staff, everyone at the scoreboard. Like, it was just fun.
Dude, that was an awesome game. That was so crazy. Yeah, that was a great game. Before we get to the championship, I want to kind of talk about Gilbert. Because they got the Trent Mosers, they got the Reed Shuey. Their setter's a phenomenal kid, and they're all juniors. Okay, so coming into the season, Gilbert was kind of a big talk because they just came down from 6A, and then we're playing them, and I'm like, all right, I think we'll be okay against them. And then I found out they're juniors, so which means they'll be back next year. A big thing for us as Castile, I truly believe, set one when we played Gilbert at home. They were about to win, and because you're 6'8" with a 24.5-inch shoe, when they blocked Sean... I was watching this clip last night, by the way.
When they blocked Sean, it went off your shoe, over the net, landed on their side because they were celebrating, and that, I honestly believe, turned our season around. Like, 100%. If we dropped that set, that would have been our first drop set. To 5A, and who knows what happens. But we end up, that gave us like that extra breath of air, and we end up taking the first set and then swept them in the end. But how good did that feel to hit your foot? And two, what I just said, how do you think that's true? Do you think that kind of gave us that, like, all right, now we see our competition and we know what we have, how much we have to elevate and to compete?
So first things first, it didn't just hit my foot. I did kick the ball. I swung my foot and kicked the ball over the net. I wouldn't say that necessarily gave us like the energy for the rest of the year, but it definitely gave us the energy to finish off that game.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been known as the soccer kid in volleyball. Shout out to ALA Queen Creek. The head coach, his exact words were to me were, if you beat us by kicking the volleyball and it lands on our side, I'm going to murder you. So, Tim, luckily that didn't happen this year. But I don't know. I mean, like, Trent has always stayed on Sean. When I was back row, that was the thing, is I had noticed that Trent was always staying on top of Sean and not necessarily worrying about, like, tripling on the outside. So when I saw him stick with Sean and I didn't get the ball, I was kind of like, oh crap. I was like, that's a big block, just like on our side. Like, it's a massive block. And then I could you not, like, slow motion, I just saw the ball slowly coming towards me, and I was like, okay, well, that ball, I mean, Sean's a freaking monster. Like, that ball's coming way too fast for me to get anywhere. So I was like, okay, boop, and then it popped over my foot. And as I saw the ball traveling over the net, I said a little prayer and was like, please be in. Because, their whole bench is off. They're jumping up like, yes, we just took them down. And then the ball lands on the court and we just go crazy. Like, everyone was just so hyped about it.
Yeah, that
I have to pull up the video now.
If you got it quick, we can show it.
I think I have it.
Coming live,
the kick
inside the minor
kick of the season. I mean, it'll be here in my Castile stuff. Actually, I bet you I have it saved right here.
I would have it saved as my #1 video every single day.
All right, let's
and
see.
He finds it.
Let's see if we can get this. I mean, like,
phenomenal.
Just the way that we got so hyped. I mean, and to think about it, when I was looking at that last night, I didn't even realize, but Noah wasn't even playing libero.
Right. Like,
that was Seth. So Seth Mortensen, he came out and he started. Shout out to him. That man's amazing. He's on a mission right now, but he came out and he started balling up during the Perry game.
Right.
During the Perry game is when he started when he showed up and was just balling his life out. So he was playing libero that game, and I mean he did amazing those next 2 sets. So I definitely think it was one of those like super hype moments, you know, because you took something from them. But I think, after that we started working real hard in practice. It was that serious moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and I still think it turned the season around. Just honestly, just because we didn't lose a set yet, and how does this team, how did they come back after losing a set? And then obviously when Williamsfield came and took a set, we found out. So hats off to the Castiles men's volleyball team this year. They absolutely killed it. The kids worked their butts off every single day, and it showed. Rings are coming soon. Can't wait.
Hopefully, we're headed out in 3 weeks, Tate and I. It's like 3 or 4 weeks. We're headed out.
I think we'll have a little thing before this season. I'm not sure how we're doing it. But we were gifted 28 characters to put on our rings. Mm-hmm. What did you put on your ring?
Oh shoot, I'm trying to think now. I think it was Offensive Player of the Year. I want to say that's what it was.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good. Speaking of that, Offensive Player of the Year for 5A, Co-Player of the Year for SanTan Region. Tell me if I'm missing something.
First team CUSD.
Yeah, first team CUSD. And then what just came out, which was very quiet, was Arizona Player of the Year. That wasn't for 5A, 6A, 4A, whatever you may have it. It was for Arizona men's volleyball. There was 3 names. I don't know the third one.
All 3?
I know Zach Rama.
Dallin Smith.
Dallin Smith from Perry. Zach Rama from
Perry.
O'Connor. Shout out to Troy. Great coach. Great guy. And Kyler Evans. And again, this was quiet. And I don't know how it was quiet because everything else was so big. Maybe...
I didn't even realize it until I was tagged in the post. Right. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is really cool.
Right? So, shout out Zach Rama. He ended up winning. He's committed to D1 UCLA. He's only a junior, so he'll still have 1 more year at O'Connor. So watch out for them.
Dude,
they lost a tough one to Perry this year.
He's determined about it. He's winning it this year.
Oh yeah. They got that big setter. I don't know his name. Going to GCU. Like they're O'Connor's stacked.
I think it's Jackson. Yeah, Jackson. He's committed. Yeah, he's committed to GCU, and he's just as good. He's the setter for Sean's club team.
He's like 6'7" too. I feel like.
Yeah, they're gonna be awesome this year.
So I don't know what the order ended up being 1, 2, or 2 or 3 afterwards, but to be top 3 in Arizona. How does it feel? And the only 5A kid, we'll say. Yeah. Those other 2 guys are 6A, so it's 6A. Even in football, they'll get looked at more. But so top 3 in Arizona. How's that feel?
It makes me feel awesome, but like more grateful for the team because I always talk about this with my parents. Like you don't win volleyball games by yourself. Right. It's obviously it's a volleyball team, not a volleyball player. You can't beat games by just going to one person. So like to have Dallin and Noah and Adam and Daniel and Sean and Kyan and all those guys like on my side is just awesome because I wouldn't be here where I am without those guys.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Shout out Castile Volleyball, state champs. Especially after the year that everyone had, not just us. With
it would have been 2 state champs.
That's the rumor. That's the rumor we're hearing. But yeah, I think you guys did great in the championship game. This is what we'll end it on, and we had everyone bring their pink jerseys from last year, which were gifted to the guys from last year's season that didn't end up happening. So we had our seniors with us on the bench. We wrapped the chairs with the pink jerseys that we had. We had a lot of the seniors in the stands with the Justin Babcocks. I'm going to fail a few times on this. But Jaden Coles was there.
Austin was there.
Austin was there, but he wasn't the senior. He was the year before.
That's true.
Shout out Ponsis, though. But what do you think? Do you think that kind of gave us, like, hey, we promised these guys we have their backs. We brought them here with their jerseys. Do you think that kind of helped our team just be like, hey, this is our season, yes, But don't forget about these guys that also helped us get to where we are.
Yeah, for sure. I actually, during the first set, I kind of looked over to the side and I saw all the jerseys on the bleachers, and my first thought was the Vegas tournament, which
Right.
we took second in the Vegas tournament. I always forget the team that we played against, but they were a California team, awesome team, definitely great ball players out there. And I just thought about like that last picture that we had where everyone was so exhausted and tired. And I thought, okay, I need to make all of that hard work like pay off for them in a way.
Right.
And I was like, the only way to do that is to
Yeah.
win this game and win the state championship.
Phenomenal. Actually, I'll end it on this. So obviously, Warhorse is a big thing. It got stolen from me once from Hayden Hurley. He ain't playing next year. I'm just kidding.
It got stolen and then given back as the Warhorse.
Yeah, so I was awarded the Warhorse. Shout out me.
He was very pissed off. He was very...
But what I do want to say is at the championship game, when we won, we were doing the Warhorse. Obviously, it went to the whole team. It wasn't an individual player. The whole team deserved that. But having the crowd come down, you said, no, Milbert, no, not yet. Like, and then you're like yelling at your guys, like the fans, the students, and teachers, and parents, and what have you. Like you were saying, come down here. How did that feel to be a part of officially the biggest Warhorse in history?
It was awesome. Yeah, I saw all of the students were very eager to get down there, and I mean, back in the past, like our volleyball program hasn't had any supporters. Like it's been very minimal. It's a lot of our friends and family coming out to watch. Where this year we had a lot of announcements across the school telling kids to come to our games, and I mean, no offense to the Cienega crowd, but like our side was more there. Our side had the more energy, even when we'd get blocked or like miss a couple serves. Our side was still all there. We had a bunch of the students participate in we did Hawaii themed.
Yeah.
They came out with leis and a bunch of their Hawaiian shirts. So I was like, you know what? They came out to support us. Like they're a part of this. So I did tell and I was like, let them come on. I was like, let's have everyone in this, and then everyone did the chant. Which at that point, I mean, you're winning for the school. You're not winning for yourself.
Right.
You're winning as a program.
That's a Castile victory. Yes, I agree. That was awesome. So shout out to the fans, families, friends that came out to the game. This season, hopefully, we're pushing forward to next year where we get these fans out earlier in the season so they see everything. Because, listen, I can only film so much, and you can only see so much of how hard they hit the ball and where they hit it and who they hit in the head and who they're nutmegging So come out and see just men's volleyball in general and come support the team. And
I don't think we would have won the Williamsfield game without the crowd that we had out that night. If we didn't have that crowd out, we would not have won that game.
I agree that crowd was loud, and to not get down when we were even down 2-0. They were still getting hyped. Every spike, every block, every ace.
Yeah.
So huge shout out to just families, friends, and just our team and coaching staff and the wives of the coaching staffs who let us do this.
Yes.
Because without you watching the kids at home, we could not do this. So even though we take them to the practice sometimes.
Yeah, but that's okay.
But they're cool.
They're family. They're part of the program.
The kids love the kids.
Yes.
So it works out. But, all right, once again, guys, Tyler Milbert here with numero tres or second in Arizona. We don't know. Top 3, all of Arizona men's volleyball. Offensive Player of the Year, 5A. State champ. Co-Player of the Year, SanTan Valley. First team, USD. Kyler Evans. This is Inside the Mind of an Athlete. Southern Virginia.
Yes.
You're getting a good one.
See you guys.
This is always scary. I was telling Sean.